Another point is the symbol of Scotland. The coat of arms of Scotland, it depicts two unicorns. And one of these unicorns has been incorporated into the coat of arms of the United Kingdom. So, in effect, your coat of arms of Scotland, you had two coats of arms of Scotland who identified as those of Scotland. One depicted two unicorns. Another had a unicorn and a lion. And this unicorn and lion became accepted, was identical to that of the, almost identical to that of the United Kingdom. And the United Kingdom made some changes in it, and they came to identify the lion, the coat of arms, the United Kingdom, the lion with England, and the unicorn with Scotland. At all events, the symbol of Scotland was a unicorn. A unicorn is depicted as a type of horse with a horn, one horn on its forehead. Unicorn means one horn. A Midrash is a rabbinical tradition based on biblical sources and traditions. It's similar to the Talmud, but unlike the Talmud, which has a lot of legal and material and a lot of heavy discussions, Midrash is more commentary on the Bible, commentary on the events, more illustrative. Midrash is more illustrative, but it emanates from the same sources as the Talmud. Some of it even goes back to before the time of the Bible or from the time of the Bible itself, but it's also written right up into a late age, right up into the early Middle Ages, the 600s, 700s, or even 900s of the Common Era of our time. But and it's not as sacrosanct as other sources are. To a degree, you can take it or leave it, but it is revered. It is respected. If it says something, it's worth paying attention to. So the Midrash Rabbah, Bamidbar 2:7, it gives the standards of the tribes, the different tribes. It says the standard of Joseph. The standard of Joseph was black in color. Now, Joseph was the father of Ephraim and Manasseh. He had 12 tribes of Israel. They were the sons of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob was renamed Israel. Israel had 12 sons. One of these sons was named Joseph. Joseph had two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. Ephraim and Manasseh were to become separate, independent tribes in their own right. So sometimes in the Bible, 12 tribes are mentioned, and Joseph is counted as one tribe. At other times, Joseph is counted as two separate tribes, Ephraim and Manasseh, and one of the other tribes, usually Levi, is not counted. The Bible always tries to maintain a quorum of 12 when it numbers the tribes, even though in effect, strictly speaking, there were 13 tribes. So you count Ephraim and Manasseh as separate tribes, and you do not count Joseph. At all events, the standard of Joseph, according to the Midrash, was black. It was black. The color was black. Each tribe had its own separate color. The color of Joseph, according to the Midrash, was black. And it depicted an emblem, something representing Egypt. We don't know what it was, but the USA has a great seal, which represents it. The great seal is a pyramid. When you look at a pyramid, what do you see? You see an all-seeing eye. An all-seeing eye is associated with Joseph. You see an all-seeing eye is associated with Joseph. An all-seeing eye is associated with Joseph. When Joseph received the blessing from his father Jacob, Jacob referred to the eye above him, ayin, the eye above him. This has been translated in different ways, but the most literal translation of this expression is saying that the eye above him, the divine eye of Providence, is above him. And this too is seen on the Great Seal of America. Above the pyramid representing Egypt, we have an eye, the all-seeing eye, the eye above him, the eye above Joseph. Remember that Joseph was the father of Ephraim and Manasseh, but Ephraim and Manasseh were the sons of Joseph. Midrash continues and says that the flag of Ephraim, like the flag of Manasseh, was black. Both of their flags were black. On the flag of Ephraim was a bull. And John Bull is a popular nickname and also a character, the name of a character, popular character that traditionally represented the English people, known as John Bull. So John Bull is the name given to Joseph, given to Ephraim. We identify Ephraim with England. As we said, the flag of Manasseh was a rhyme. The flag of Scotland had two rhymes. On the flag, on the coat of arms of the UK, there's one unicorn and a lion, and the unicorn has been taken to represent Scotland. The unicorn has been taken to represent Scotland. The unicorn represents Scotland. And the word translated as unicorn in Hebrew is ayin. Sometimes it is translated as a wild ox or something else. There's something to these translations, but the real actual meaning of the name is unicorn. And the unicorn, some type of animal that gave rise to the figure of the unicorn, did exist. In Akkadian, in the language used by the Assyrians, it is referred to as Rimor, and has been identified with an auroch. An auroch was a wild bull, a wild ox, a wild cow, which was gigantic in size. And it used to exist in the Middle Ages and also in Europe and Poland until about a few hundred years, 400 or 500 years ago, or even less. It's now extinct, but it was present until recently. And there are indications that subspecies of the auroch, or amongst the subspecies of the auroch, there are many who had a mutation of one horn, or of their two horns growing together and creating one. And that is one of several animals in which this phenomenon in ancient times may have existed and may have given a rise to the folklore concerning the unicorn. At all events, the unicorn was a figure known to mythology, known to symbolism, and it was a symbol of Scotland. People believed it existed, and our impression is that it did exist, that there was such an animal. Apart from that, in the north of Scotland, you had the Caledonians, Caledonians from Gilead. Gilead was a clan, was both an area in northern Israel, east and west of the Jordan in the north. It's also a large section of the tribe of Manasseh. We belong to the section known as Gilead. Gilead was a subsection amongst the tribe of Manasseh. They gave rise to the Caledonians. And all of the different sections who make up the people of Scotland, on the whole, derive from Israelites. And the Manasseh is predominant amongst them.